Hello and welcome to MG Tracy. I'm soaking wet because I've just taken an opportunity where the twins are in the pool and it's a bit quieter to show you how to make the best black coffee using your filter coffee makers. A few simple steps to make sure you can really enjoy your coffee. Obviously it's the most cheapest way really to brew coffee rather than using Keurig or whatever, and because there isn't any significant waste, it's actually better for the planet, so it's a win-win. Okay, let's get the best out of your Mr. Coffee coffee machine. Now if you're not used to a coffee machine for a while, or you've bought it at a thrift store and it's second hand, or in fact if it's brand new and you've not used it before, you need to run some water through it for the first time. So let's put some water in here, and we're not going to put any coffee in it. This is just to make sure we clean out any muck that's in the machine, either from previous users or from the manufacturing process. So you've got a tank at the back in all the coffee machines, so they all work in the same way. Now, so we're not going to put anything in that. All we're going to do is turn that one on. And then we'll just let that water bubble through. Now very quickly you'll just see the water boil in there, and it'll come up and it'll go into the coffee basket. Now very carefully just twist this around a little bit. Obviously you're dealing with boiling water, so be careful. But just to effectively sterilise that if it's second hand, or wash any of the chemicals off that's been used in the manufacturing process. When the water runs out, the machine will turn itself off, and that obviously is just dropping down into there. So we'll let that finish and we'll empty that, and then we'll start brewing our coffee. Now in a lot of the newer machines, actually the basket here doesn't actually need a paper liner, but make sure you give it a little bit of rinse out. All these bits come out and can go in the dishwasher every so often just to keep them clean. In older machines, or some of them, then you will need filter coffee paper, and you can just tuck that in there and fill it through there. Actually, say this one doesn't need that, so we'll just put some coffee in the basket. Now you need to fill it for say 6 cupfuls. It needs to be about half full, but don't compact down the coffee. One of the other important tips is once you've opened your coffee, it will only last really about a week, but you can improve the flavour of that by keeping it in the fridge. So you need to keep it airtight and in the fridge really. Right, so we want to be about half full in here. I mean, you might have to do this a few times if you've got a new machine to get to taste. You can tap it down, but don't push it down like you would in an espresso machine. Right, so we've got our coffee in its level. We can now slide this over. This should just lock nicely. I've refilled this with filtered water. Pop that in, and about half of that canister there, that basket, should do you about 6 to 8 cups of coffee, depending how strong you want it. That's working perfectly. This is a decaf as well, so that's one of the other advantages of having ground coffee or grinding your own beans, is you've got a much bigger selection at a much cheaper price and a much bigger range of decaf than using Keurig. So I guess that's going to take 2 or 3 minutes to go through. Other things to remember, you can't really have this coffee more than an hour after it's been made. Certain chemical reactions happen in the coffee and it's really just not that tasty. So after an hour, you've got to make a new brew, and don't leave these things on if you're going to leave the house. They could be a fire hazard if they burn through dry or whatever. So most of them should turn themselves off. This one actually doesn't, so never leave the house without unplugging or turning off your coffee machine, even if there's some coffee on there. So there we are, 3 or 4 minutes and we're in, and we've got all our coffee ready. That smells fantastic. Don't forget to put your ground coffee back in the fridge. I'll put the links below if you're having trouble in getting a Mr. Coffee coffee machine or something similar. If you're in Europe, they are not really that expensive, and I say the coffee is very cheap as well. So enjoy your coffee. So I hope you found that useful and you can now enjoy some brilliant coffee. I'll see you in the next video. It's cheerio from me.